Greetings, Green Thumb Gardening family. And in today's episode, we're going to show you guys how we go about hard pruning two of our cherry tomato plants that we previously had located back at Queen Annie's place in our backyard food forest. We're going to be hard pruning those plants today because they're in desperate need of hard pruning. They're at the point where they've been affected by blight. And if you guys have been following our channel for any significant amount of time, you guys know that every year here at the Green Thumb Gardening Channel, we hard prune both our tomato plants and our pepper plants here to increase our harvest and to revegetate our plants here and to keep our plants in our garden for longer periods of time instead of going out and buying new plants every time you have a issue with your plant. You go out and buy a new tomato plant, you go out and buy a new pepper plant. The most common solution to any issues that you're going to have with your tomato plants or your pepper plants during the spring and summer months is blight, things like that. You just simply go out, you do a hard pruning on your plants, they revegetate in about 2 weeks and they come back bigger and better than ever, produce far more blossoms and peppers or tomatoes, etc. they were doing prior to being hard pruned. We're going to show you guys how we go about doing that today, but first of all, I'm going to flip this camera around for you guys and show you what has happened with our both of our cherry tomato plants that we previously had planted back at Queen Annie's place in our backyard food forest. Hang tight, YouTube.
All right, guys, we're back, and this is why indeed we're out here about to hard prune our two cherry tomato plants. As you can see, the leaves have been affected by blight. We got a little rust going on. They're no longer producing massive amount of blossoms for us here. And on average, the average person would just take these tomato plants, pull them out, go buy another plant, and pop it in their pot or garden location. But we don't do that here at the Green Thumb Gardening Channel. Every year, this happens to our plants, our tomato plants, and our pepper plants. And we simply do a hard pruning on our plants, revegetate our plants. They come back within 7 to 14 days, loaded with blossoms, tomatoes, peppers, etc. So what we're simply going to do here, YouTube, is our intentions are to whack off about 2/3 of what you currently see here as far as our plants go. So we're going to bring our plants down to about this height here, both of our plants. We're going to whack off everything above that and everything that we have left as far as vegetation goes on the stems that we have left once we do that hard pruning. We're going to whack off all of those little leaves, etc. Anything that's dead, we're going to whack off all of that. We're going to show you what our tomato plants are looking like after the pruning. Then we'll bring you guys back in about 7 to 14 days and show you what our tomato plants look like at that time. Hang tight, YouTube.
All right, Green Thumb Gardening family. So again, we're back. We'll show you guys how easy it is and how swift it is to hard prune your pepper or tomato plants. It's a simple thing. Just gonna go around at about the height of our tomato cage here. And we're gonna whack these overgrown portions of our plant off. Show you guys what that looks like right quick. As you can see, I haven't even removed the tomato cage from our plants. Just gonna simply pull out all of this overgrowth, toss it on the ground over here. Show you guys what our plants look like once we have all that overgrowth removed. Go here in the center, right there, whack off any dead or dying foliage on our plants. Now this is our first cherry tomato plant here, and again, as I told you guys in the previous clip, I would come back, whack off any dead foliage, anything that looks diseased in any way. I'm gonna get all of that whacked off. And again, it's a quick and simple thing. We will not be out here all day pruning these tomato plants. That on there. Wipe that off. Again, we're just coming through here. Anything that's already been affected by blight or anything on the stems of what we have left here, we're going to just simply whack that off. Try to keep that blight from spreading to our new growth. Again,
It's not rocket science. It's simply removing any overgrowth, any disease-affected foliage from our plants. And pretty much just like that, Green Gardening family, we are done pruning our first plant here. We'll take this girl, sit her to the side. We'll bring you guys back again in a couple of weeks and show you what she's looking like at that time. On to our next plant over here. We're going to slide this girl to the side a little bit. Bring our next plant more into camera range here. And do that same thing with this plant. Exact same thing. We're going to go down to about the height of this first rung here on our tomato cage. I'm going to whack this plant up at about that level all the way around. Nothing fancy, nothing scientific or about this process. Simply whacking this tomato plant off at the points at which we wish to see it come back from. Again, any of that overburden, overgrowth, portions of this plant that we know we don't need or are no longer productive, I'm going to just whack those portions off. What we're also going to be doing here in this video is taking some of those same cuttings that you guys see me removing from this plant and creating new cherry tomato plants from those cuttings. You guys can see a huge difference in this plant already with what I've already removed. Get back down in here. Again, our intention is to completely revegetate this plant, but also remove any foliage that's currently already being affected by blight or any other type of fungus or disease, so that when our plants revegetate, that blight won't spread to our new foliage. Get down here a little lower, move a lot of this foliage from down here near ground level. Again, anything that looks diseased or in some way affected by blight, we'll remove that. Any yellowing leaves, any leaves that we see that may have any type of pest on those leaves, we're going to remove those leaves as well. And again, as you can see, our plant is beginning to look a lot different than it did at the beginning of this video. Right. Looks like the sun is trying to peek out behind me. Haven't seen the sun here in several days at the Green Thumb Gardening channel. And we have seen back to back daily thunderstorms, which is normal weather for us here at the Green Thumb Gardening Channel for this time of year. Alright, our plant is beginning to look a lot better and a lot healthier already with the foliage that we've removed so far from this plant. Again, we do this a minimum of 2 times every year with our tomato plants and our pepper plants here at the Green Thumb Gardening Channel. They bounce back within 7 to 14 days every time with fresh vegetation, blossoms, and more fruit. I've said this before in my previous videos. I want to say it again in this video. Green Thumb Gardening family, prune your plants. They'll love you for it. They will love you for it. Whack that little business off right there. Knock that guy out right there. Now for the most part here, as you guys can see, we've removed most of the foliage that's been in some way affected by blight or some other type of disease. Completely removed all of the overgrowth from our plants out here. Our plants are looking much, much better and much, much healthier than they were at the beginning of this video. Go ahead and use that guy there. Anything that we know won't produce tomatoes, we don't need that extra foliage on our plant at this time. Go ahead and get that removed. And this Green Thumb Gardening family is what our second cherry tomato plant is looking like after being hard pruned here in our front yard garden extended grow area. This is what they both look like. We'll bring you guys back in about 7 to 14 days as our plants begin to revegetate and show you that hard pruning does indeed work. Thanks for watching. And if indeed you currently are watching this video on hard pruning our cherry tomato plants and not already subscribed to the Green Thumb Gardening channel, please indeed take this moment to press that subscribe button beneath this video, that like button, that notification button, and be sure to share this video with your friends and family as well. Thanks for watching.